a big chunk of wood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
But it's still not enough to do anything with over there.
Not really. Not at 1.5 inch thickness.
Yeah.
No. Welcome to Potbelly Logs.
Yeah.
Makes lots of firewood. So I moved the generator closer today. And I give to you the fob.
The fob, huh?
It's a keyless generator.
Nice.
So if you want to stop it, just hit the stop button. It's within range.
Okay.
So if you're going to be working with a log for a little while, like an hour,
yeah,
shut it off.
Okay.
And then when you're ready to go again, just hold start for like 3 seconds and it'll fire up.
Oh,
and that'll
sweet.
save us like 3 gallons of gas today.
Perfect.
Right?
All right.
Toys. I've been trying to share some of the things that I learned about getting the most use out of a log. And I'm kind of trying to draw examples, but I think at the end of the day, you really just have to mill a bunch of logs to get a feel for looking at the outside of a log, bark on, and making decisions about how to get the most yield. So on this situation here, we aimed for the middle of the log and we set centers on both sides, basically ignoring all of the character in the log, trying to get the most ideal beam. But when it was milled, it turns out that this end should come a little bit higher and you'll get a more even cut on this side, whereas it is now, it kind of balloons out as it goes down. Again, I think sometimes these things, in my experience, I guess just do a bunch of milling and you'll kind of figure it out. I have a lot of errands to run today. It's the first day of the work week for everybody, and so businesses are open and we've got to get a bunch of things taken care of. Alyssa's actually going to do a lot of the town running so that we can just stay here and focus on the sawmill. We did get an update on our SIPs this morning. It sounds like early next week, so we've got about 10 days before the walls arrive, and then the roof will actually arrive sometime after that, probably a week or maybe more. That's good, but we're feeling the pressure now. What seemed like forever before is starting to feel like a tight timeline. So we're gonna really try to bust our hump on these logs today, get the lumber that he needs, and then I actually did a bunch of calculations to get the lumber schedule for our SIPs last night, and I think I know that we're gonna have to make some of our own 2x8s. I think that's gonna be a wise decision. It looks like the lengths that we want are gonna be special order lumber. So we'll have to kind of see where we're at when we get his lumber all done, and then we'll try to make some of our own. That's kind of the plan for today. Probably one of the most exciting things that's happening today is our loft decking is coming back from the sawmill. So that helps us to move forward with the house project because we've been needing to notch the bottom of the loft posts so that the joint where the flooring comes over the floor joist doesn't have a gap when you look up through from the floor below. But we didn't want to make those cuts until we knew for a fact the thickness of the loft decking. So kind of excited to see how that turned out, and then also to get started on getting the posts ready to install that decking. All right, you ready to turn?
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
To pick up the lumber.
Yeah, if we can just stop by, you might want to just call real quick and make sure they've got it covered. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind going with you.
Do you want to just run real quick?
Yeah, let's go check it out together. If it's good, then we'll come back.
Yep, keep going.
Justin's outrunning me today. I got to get caught up on all this firewood as it stacks up against the mill. That the mill head right there has no room to work, so he's outrunning me today. Oh boy. I'm curious how well we did on that skinny section. It looks like there's quite a bit of wood there to me.
Oh yeah.
There's plenty enough for bearing anyway. So we're cutting her close.
Yeah.
Ooh, a little bit of bark, but I've seen Wayne as big as that on premium select special extra top dollar. Take my money wood.
Yeah. I got these 2 2x6s on here too.
Yeah, Justin had a good eye there, and he said, hey, I think if we knock those 2 down and go back, we'll get a couple of 2x6s, and that's what I call free wood.
Yep.
1 cut, 5 boards.
Yeah.
Now you're speaking my language. Alyssa and I worked on that for a long time. For early on when we were messing with all that stuff over there, it's 4 cuts, 1 board, 4 cuts, 1 board.
Yeah.
Production sucks. And then you start doing stuff like this, 2 cuts, 5 boards. Now we're making production.
Yeah.
And that was how we got like 70 boards on day 4
Yeah.
instead of like 12.
Yeah.
Not doing too bad on lube. Is that your first jug of lube today?
Yep.
That's pretty good. I think we're at about 10 hours on the mill so far for this project.
Really?
And we're 28 2x10s. That's not bad for production, not bad. I see that you have made quite the mountain of sawdust. So you're probably thinking either I'm growing, because now you're tall, so you're probably already like trying to get down here to run the sawmill. You add about 6 inches of sawdust and it feels like you're kissing your ankles. So you're gonna take some of this home to garden with maybe?
Yeah. I'll take it home and put it in my garden.
So Justin had an idea this morning. He said, I'm gonna mill this log backwards with the skinny end at the mill head and the butt at the other end. How'd that work?
I think it worked pretty good. I liked it.
Okay.
It made better sense in my brain
Yeah.
to know at this end what you're doing, and then who cares about that end? It is what it is, instead of starting at the mystery end and working your way towards the known end.
Fair enough. Interesting. Okay. Well, I think there's definitely some differences in how we mill. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Like the way you approach it works.
Yeah.
It's different than how I approach it, but at the end we both end up with boards that are reasonably square into dimensions. So
Yeah.
interesting. I've never milled with anybody else, so I have no clue. Like
Yeah.
I just know how I do it. That doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. Well, it worked out. Do you want to do it that way again, or do you want to do it differently?
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I can do
Okay.
it now that I'm getting more familiar with the sawmill. I think
Yeah.
I could do it either way, but this way, just in my brain, works better.
Well, next we blindfold you, and that's the ultimate test.
Turn me around.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a mystery log, mystery mill, and then you have to make lumber. Go.
Perfect.
There's a nasty rumor going around that Alyssa's bringing food, so we better get these boards loaded up, because I have a hunch a break is in our future, and then maybe we can get a log loaded before she gets back and we kind of slow down for just a second. So on this cut right here, we had this happen yesterday where we were gonna make a couple of cuts. We made kind of like a really aggressive cut, and then we're like, well, if it works out, we'll make one more cut and kind of salvage the board. Well, if you look really closely here where the kerf is, it's really tight here at the ends, but look as it goes towards the middle of this board, that gap. What happened here is there was tension in the grain, and when we cut that tension has been relieved, and so this board is actually already crowning just from the kerf. I always wondered where crown came from, and we saw this yesterday too. And why this is important is if we were going to make another cut, let's say we were making a conservative cut here, and we're like, oh, well, we'll just check that and then make another cut here. We wouldn't be able to, because that's sitting up now. It's going to add whatever that gap is to the height of the board. So little things like that, just kind of, I guess, school of hard knocks, learning to mill and what order to do things. This would be disastrous if we had to make another cut on top. Oh wow. Gotta flip it. Ready. It's gonna be done really well. So there's 5 boards per row, and there are 5 rows plus 1. So we're at 26, and we need 32, and we're going after 20 feet. We kind of jumped the gun a little bit and cut this log at 18 feet, and I'll bet if we hadn't have done that, there's the 6 boards that we need. This one's got so much Willy Wonka in it, it's even on the camera it looks like it's bent. So I'd say that's not really a good candidate. This one will give you a workout because it's got a big S bend in it. I wonder if this little guy right here with all the knots would be a good choice. If we just need 6 boards, what's our magic number?
3/4.
9 3/4.
9 3/4 by
Okay.
9 1/4.
Okay, so earlier we made this little cheat sheet with how many boards equals what dimensions. So 9 and
9 3/4.
9 3/4 will get us 6 boards. So I guess if you wanted to summarize it, you need a 10 by 10, and that doesn't look like it's going to produce a 10 by 10, and it's got a bit of curve in it.
Yeah.
Well, it's 12.
Yeah,
You think you can get a 10 by 10 out of that? I'll bet it's there.
Maybe.
You might have a little bit of wane on a couple of the boards. I don't know. What do you think?
We could save it for your 8 by 8s.
Yeah, 8 by 8s would be much easier, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Or 2 by 8s, I guess.
For 2 by 8s, I mean.
Holy smokes, we were just having to
calories.
think for a second there, and then Alyssa came to save us. All right, we have selected our victim. We're going for the S-bend log. We're gonna see if we can cut a little bit off the butt to kind of make it a little bit less of an S. Oh, look at that. I think that'll help you a lot. Right at the end, it's got that swell right there. Oh, wow. Ooh.
So, can I ask how come there's like a hammer and a bunch of bloody paper towels in the driveway?
That blood is actually, it's backhoe blood.
Okay.
I had to give it a transfusion because it was getting a little dry, a little squeaky. Yeah, I've been working on giving the backhoe a little bit of love while Justin's rocking on the mill.
Can I share what I bought at the store?
Oh, what is that? Jasmine. Sold! What is
I
it?
had a jasmine latte once, it was so good.
Jasmine. What is it, Jasmine? Jasmine is like, what's that, Aladdin guy?
Yeah.
That's the only
His
thing
little,
that,
his little girlfriend or something.
yeah.
I think I had like a jasmine vanilla latte. It was equally as good as a London Fog, so I'm gonna try it.
Wow. Well, break is over. And I learned something today, that it's probably not a good idea to leave some red greasy paper towels on the ground when your wife doesn't know that it's backhoe grease. So I can only imagine Alyssa walking up and seeing this big wad of like bloody looking rags and think, oh geez, who lost their arm? Well, it's been a really productive couple of days. It's been a lot of learning, even for me who did the timber frame. I feel like with lumber, it's a little bit of a different animal. And we've kind of come up with a few tricks to help the process go smoother. So I think today we made 12 boards. We only made about $360 of lumber today. Darn it. Yesterday, I think we made about $420. So that means that we are up to a lot. What would it be, $780? That's not a bad haul. All said and done, we're hoping to save Justin about $1,000 just with this lumber. I'm actually gonna jump on the sawmill right now. Justin head home to spend time with his wife. I've got an hour and a half of daylight. I think I can make some progress. Tomorrow morning, I'm scheduled for another flight lesson. So I wanna try to get as much work done. We've got to get focused on getting the house ready for SIPs. I'm feeling the pressure. We've got a few logs to blow through, so hopefully I can maximize a little bit of daylight. Thanks for joining us. In the interest of productivity, I think I made a good decision. I'm about to knock this log out, and I think I'll call that a night. Probably ought to load a log or help Justin load a log in the morning so he can keep milling. Definitely feels good to kind of get back in the saddle on the sawmill. The systems that I used that I hadn't really thought about definitely work. Tackled this 20-foot log, no problem. I think I've milled the entire log in 1 hour, which sounds about right because the logs that we were doing before the workshop, I was up to about 7 logs a day, and that was for beams. So anyway, feels good. I'm gonna make about 8 more cuts. This should knock out all of the 2x10s that Justin needs, so he's gonna get a surprise when he gets here in the morning. I think I'll just leave the boards stacked on the sawmill, and then I'll try to get his reaction when I come home from flying. It'll be funny. One of the things that Justin mentioned when I was just kind of chatting with him about the sawmill experience so far, of course, there's always that question about cost. Is it worth it to sawmill? And in this situation, obviously there's a tremendous amount of learning. Justin's been very much in learning mode ever since he started. The first log that we milled probably took us over 6 hours. And the second one probably took us 4 hours. And I think the one that we did today probably took us about 4 hours. Definitely a huge, pretty steep learning curve, and that's exactly what I felt when I was working on the timber frame. But this is one of the reasons that we want to share this, the stuff that we have with people. Is where are you going to learn to run a sawmill unless you're willing to drop $10,000, $5,000 to $10,000, and gamble whether a sawmill makes sense for your family or not. So it's really kind of cool that Justin's willing to come over here, take the time. Of course, he's benefiting. He's getting lumber out of it. He's helping us. We're cleaning up the property. He's been a very helpful neighbor to us. He's come on short notice many times to help us with the house. He'll be helping us many times in the future. I'm sure of it. He's just that kind of character. So it feels good to share this stuff. And then we've got another person in the neighborhood who's skilled on the sawmill. How is that a bad thing?